Welcome back to part 2 of the instinctive escape plan, is what we're going to call it. And I remember I was saying that God will lead you through a series of tests. And he's showing your endurance. He's showing, can you make it through a certain series of obstacles? It's almost like a boot camp. And as you're going through these tests, you are learning endurance. You're learning all of these things. But then he's going to test your ability to make it through these situations where you're going to have to press through. You're going to have to trust God. You're going to have to see the enemy when he's trying to coerce you. You're going to have to surrender certain things to God. You're going to reach the end of your rope. Now what? You're in a high stakes situation. Now what? I had a dream several years ago where I felt like I was trapped. And in it, I thought I was missing the boat or missing where I was supposed to go. And it passed and it left without me. But the entire National Guard Marine Task Force came up on helicopters, boats, and everything else to come get me out of that situation. Because God will send the help to you. And in this case, this woman had enough connections with the government that they were already on the case. God already has his angels in position. He has the people that are going to come to your rescue. He has the people that are going to come and help you out of this situation. They are locked, loaded, and ready. You may not see them yet, but they are there, and they're waiting, and they're prepared to show you the way to get out of there. But they have to assemble and strategically move in, and they can't let the people that are holding you captive know what they are doing. So you just have to go with the flow of it. So the government positioned themselves to access her. But in order for their plan to work, she had to walk out the process. How many times has God put us through processes that we had to walk out and we could not skip it? Even when I'm sitting there reading this, I'm like, dang, God gave me the answer right before I went through all the hell I went through. Dang. It got worse before it got better, but dang, this was the answer. Oh, I forgot. See, I get these words and I'll write them down, but I don't look at them again after I write them down. It's the same thing any prophet will tell you. Not saying I'm a prophet, but I do know I carry certain prophetic things about me because God pours his spirit out on us all. And when you are tapped into God, you can reach and activate certain things. And because of how accurate, even 4 years later, this is, the answers were already there. So she was positioned in the right place to be extracted from her captors, but she had to walk through the process. See, as children of God, we need to understand we may be in a wilderness, but God's got his angels on assignment that are going to guide us through above and beyond what the government laws, rules, and systems have placed to constrict you. It says in the word, the government sits on God's shoulders, and though the enemy got you skewed, you've ran out of options, and as it goes, when you're down to nothing, God is up to something. She was being held and put on auction to the highest bidder. The enemy is so afraid of you that he will send some of the top people to come attack you and pay some of the highest bidder witch, warlock, whoever, in order to try and come and get you. Dag, you must be powerful. Huh? If we gonna send all these things and all these people and all this stuff after you, just oh, you, what you do? Maybe you're war with words. Who knows? So the devil puts a ransom out and has a mission to go out and take you just before your breakthrough. And God sends out a GPS system through a computer with a sign that only you know. Signs, miracles, and wonders. Have you ever felt like you're in a season and you don't know what to do, but for some reason you pick up your phone and whatever application you go on, maybe it's YouTube for you, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's whatever it is, and all of the messages, whether it be the titles for the videos or what, it seems like the Lord's talking to you. Blessings on blessings. Prepare. There's a move of God coming. There's a this, that, and it's sequential order. Only you understand the message, don't you? So you have to go through the mission. But God is sending out that signal, letting you know that the cavalry is coming to get you out of that situation. Just hold on a little bit longer. We got you. Abraham, a ram is in the bush. And in this moment on the way, you're climbing up the mountain. You don't know how you're going to get out of this situation. You don't know how you're not going to kill your son. But the very same time you're going up one side of the mountain, the ram's coming up the other. So she was at the end of her rope, on her way out. They lost someone else. She knew she was going to her doom. She had given up. But the ram in the bush, they had taken her to the extraction point, thinking for sure she was going to be given to the highest terrorist bidder. Sometimes you feel like, oh my God, this is so bad. Are they going to give me to the worst enemy against me? Oh my God. The biggest terrorist that she had made an enemy, willing to eat her alive, bury her bones, and she'd never be found. But God. Abraham gives up after taking Isaac all the way up to the mountain, and there it was, he was ready to throw his son on the sword when the angel called to him and said to Abraham, "No, put the knife down and step away from the boy. Look in the thicket." The main character in this situation said to herself, if she ran and they shot her in the back, that was better fate than to be sold to a terrorist. Then her ram showed up. She turned around to see one of her best friends that she had not seen in years. Sometimes God will send the most unlikely person to rescue you. That is the most unlikely person that even your enemies would be like, they wouldn't. And that's the very person that God sent, because God will use your enemies to bless you in certain situations. and favor you. For it says in the word, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall man give unto thy bosom. God will turn the hearts of your enemies to your favor in order to get you out of certain situation. But this was actually a friend of hers that she had not seen in years. But he was working undercover to pretend to be an enemy just to get her out of this situation. God will send in the cavalry, and the person with the most power, the most pull, and the most ability to open the door for you in order to get you where you got to go in the time frame that God needs you to get there, because you got to move. She saw her best friend they had called in an old team member from long gone. They hadn't seen this person, hadn't been in this show for, he left to the first season. This is the 5th season. An ally, a friend. He turned out to be the one that brought her. And when she saw him, she knew without a shadow of a doubt that she was safe, because that was her sign. I remember listening to a minister that I listened to. She's actually an ordained minister, and she said, sometimes, for those of y'all waiting on an ordained kingdom marriage, some of y'all know who your spouse is. When you see it, you will know. That will be the sign. That will be the sign. Turned out to be the one that bought her. She knew. And he could be trusted. So when her plan didn't pan out, when the plan she saw, the way to escape, didn't pan out, when the unexpected, unplanned surprises, all of them falling apart, and when all of our human options don't pan out the way that we see God doing it, doesn't come to pass, and in the way we saw it, God will swoop in with the ram in the bush at the last minute without a shadow of doubt. You knew it was him. For it says in the word in Psalms 23:5, for I will make a table in the presence of your enemies. For when God gets you out of that situation, you will know. And so will your enemies. Only God did this. God showed up to get you out. There is no other way it could have happened and been explained. It couldn't have been explained any other way. Only God did that. No one else could have humanly possibly gotten you out of that situation. And the word for you, trust God, surrender, and watch God work it out for you. For the eyes have not seen, nor ear heard, what God will do for those who love him. And because I still got a little bit of time, I'm going to actually share a bit of the message that my coach, who goes by the same name, and I already said it, her name was Olivia, so you know what character it was and what show it was. She shared a word on her Facebook page called God is Sending Help. He's coming to your rescue. In it, she shared a video clip of a woman who was getting out of her car because a car was gliding into the traffic, and she starts screaming, trying to get the people's attention, waving and waving, and then the car slides directly into the intersection, goes all the way across the intersection, and they manage to stop it on the other side. But they a series of cars ends up pulling to help this woman because she's waving frantically, who happened to be this woman's co-worker. She saw her car and saw her slumped over the driver's seat, or the driver steering wheel, and she started waving. She didn't know what was wrong with her, but she was saying, help, help, help. Nearly 10 people got out of their cars, came from all different directions to come to try to stop this woman's car because she was having either a cardiac episode or some type of health issue, and she could not stop her car. She was passed out. She wouldn't have never been able to stop her car. And as my coach explained it, it said that had a car ran into her, they would have probably said that her death had something to do with the accident and never known the real cause of what happened. But because those people ran to the rescue in that moment to help her, they were able to push the car to the next closest gas station and wait for the paramedics. They busted out the back window, managed to slow the car down, get it into a position that they could move it in a completely different direction in order for it to get out of the road. They all called 911 and help was now on the way. Even when I think about this, I get emotional. And I know you all do too. Especially if you're in scenarios where it felt like you have been fighting for your life for years. When I tell you for the past 17 years of my life, I've been fighting to just get stable footing under me. I've had jobs, I've lost jobs, I didn't have a job, I couldn't get a job, tried to get it to work, and I ended up in a season where God just had me. I literally was saying out of my mouth, God, you must not want me to get a job because for some reason I can't get one. And then I said, let me write a book. I didn't write one book, I wrote 8. I didn't create one program, I've created at least 4, 5 now. I didn't write one website, I wrote over 200. I didn't create one thing, I've been creating. But whatever you create in your season of pain, it's going to pay off in your season of promise. You will feel like you're drowning during those seasons. But I bet you Joseph felt like he was drowning up until the moment that the new Pharaoh, called him out of the prison. They dressed him and took him to interpret the dream. A lot of you have probably been sitting on things, crying over things, praying over things, wondering over things. Why is it that I've been doing this for so long and I haven't been able to get one thing to work for me? God, you said you loved me. Why is it so hard? God, it has seemed so hard. And it seemed even harder, and you're saying that it's almost over, and it seems like, why is it even more harder now? But when the men had to go around the walls of Jericho, why was it the last day they had to go around 7 more times on the 7th day? And they were already tired. The people that had to dig the trenches, they had to dig the trenches on no food, no water, exhaustion, and they had to dig all night to dig those trenches. But that valley will be full of ditches. Those ditches will be full of water. But you got to keep digging. You got to keep moving. You got to keep pursuing. You got to keep preparing because there is rescue coming. But if you stop short, you don't know how much you could have had. The woman who had the bottle of oil, had she kept going and trying to find vessels, but her son said there was no more vessels, but had she found something else, you'd think that the water and the oil would not have stopped pouring. If you found another type of vessel, another type of pot, if you went down a bag, I guarantee you the oil would have kept on pouring. Keep going. I've been in a season where I've been trying to figure it out myself. And I said, you know what? Let me come here. Let me start taking this very same content that's been sitting dormant on applications on Facebook for years. Let me start ministering that. So I'm being obedient by doing that because I got the idea. And sometimes you think, oh, let me get this, let me do this. You get an idea and you think, It's a little off the cuff idea that turns out to be the thing that you were supposed to be doing. So, with that being said, your rescue is on the way. Maybe your rescue is your kingdom redeemer, it's your spouse. Maybe your rescue is a job, because maybe you don't want a spouse. Maybe God is going to provide for you. Maybe it's an opportunity, a job, a thing to put your hands to. Maybe it's a thing that all the things that you've been putting your hands to, because think about it like this. Most people don't remember this, and if you go back and you even look at the film of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, or the story of the Prince of Egypt, let me put it that way. When Joseph was placed in the prison, he nurtured a tree. It was a very small tree at the time he was placed in the prison, but the day that he was released, that tree had grown up into a semi-large tree, had tons of leaves. A lot of us have been carrying things for years, and we've been cultivating them, growing them, developing them, putting them aside, re-rotating through them, trying to figure out how in the world we gonna work this out and how it's gonna work. Couldn't figure out why we couldn't get it to work. Why it seems like these things all seem to be on hold all at the same time. You're feeling frustrated like you carrying 8 babies, and then, oh my God, when are they going to come out? Because you're tired. And you're seeking God's refuge and God's rescue. The cavalry is coming. The rescue team is coming. There were 9 people that came to that woman's rescue to get her off that street, because she could not help herself. Some of us are Mephibosheths, and we're lame in our feet. We can't figure out how to stand in these marketing streets and these waters and whatever. It's not that we ain't trying, because I tell you, I've gotten my credit right and it suddenly ended up messed up again. I've gotten jobs and lost them within a couple of days. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? I start to get on my feet, and looks like I can find my way out of this situation, and it falls apart. Sometimes the Lord will allow it, because he needs to show you, for one, you're not the one in charge of the situation, he is. 2, he will allow it because he's the one that's coming to your rescue. I've been in this season for the past year trying to figure out, why can't I talk to my coach? Why can't I talk to my kingdom spouse? Why can't I do this? Why can't I get it? And God's sending new people for me to talk to. God's got me doing this. God's got me here with him. Right now, I'm by myself. And sometimes I get frustrated. But you know what? I need this time in order to pour out. Whether I'm pouring out to you guys, or I'm sitting in the presence of the Lord and getting new instructions. And when I do that, he pours back into me. Your rescue, it's coming. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to say in relation to your rescue. And I'm trying to remember what it is before I leave here. But you're in the midst of being rescued. It may not come how you think it's going to come, but it's en route to you. You will be rescued. You may not know how or in what way. Martha complained because Mary was at Jesus' feet. But Martha was trying to do all of the things instead of serving God at his feet. Sometimes your rescue is in taking the time to be with Jesus. I find that the most breakthroughs I get is when I spend time with the Lord, work on my assignment, whether it's ministry work, God gives me confirmation after confirmation after confirmation after confirmation when I sit in His presence and do for His will. The rescue is coming. For you are His child. He's never going to leave you. He's never going to forsake you. He will leave the 99 to come get you. He coming. He's coming. Yes, you may be in a holding pattern. And no, it don't feel good. But He's coming to your rescue. Hold on, hold fast, hold in place. Because it's coming, and it's coming to an end sooner than you know. I know we're all tired here, and oh, it's coming again and sooner. Hold on. For those of us that have been in this situation for years, 17. I've been in this mess as long as I'd been alive prior to that, because the mess started right around the middle of my life when I was 17. So about 17 and a half, things started acting funny. And now it's been 17 and a half years since then, because I'm literally about to turn 35 in less than a month. My life is split into two halves, literally. So I'm kind of interested. What's the next 17 years going to look like? Hopefully way better than the last 17. I'm going to get back to that peaceful place. And it's not a getting back. It's getting to the place I was always promised to be. But I have a strong feeling that 17 and a half years is going to have to deal with me raising and rearing children. And getting them through that 17 and a half years. Strong feeling. Because my life is seemingly separated into 17-year intervals. So I'm intrigued to see this next 17 years. But the joy of the Lord is your strength. And God is coming to their rescue. I hope this helps you. I hope you got what you needed to get from this. Go back, take notes, apply everything I said to your situation to the best way that you need for you. But I pray that it blessed you and it will help you in your wilderness season find your way of escape. Until next time, this is Taj McCameron with much love, faith, peace, and blessings.